Hello from New Caledonia, a French island in the Pacific just north of Australia and New Zealand. To see my travel pictures, check out my Instagram. Welcome back to Beyond Boxes, where I explore labels and identity. It took a really long time for me to accept the fact that I am disabled. There is so much stigma associated with that word, and I've really suffered from internalized ableism, which is the discrimination against disabled people. The problem with invisible disabilities is just that. They're invisible. Imagine having the flu, a really bad flu. Your whole body hurts, you're nauseous, dizzy, you have brain fog, you can't think straight, you barely have the energy to get out of bed to go use the bathroom. Now imagine that you have all those symptoms, you have this flu, it's real, but you're not bunged up, you don't have a runny nose, and you don't have a fever, so no one can tell that you're ill. And everyone is telling you the flu isn't real, it's all in your head. Stop being such a baby. Have a nap and you'll be fine. Have you tried yoga? As if you feel like doing fucking yoga right now. And imagine that unlike the flu, you won't get better in a couple of weeks. You may never fully recover. And welcome to my world. Invisible disabilities are another one of those in-between categories that I mentioned in my in-betweeners video. It's a spectrum. Different people experience being invisibly disabled in different ways. And there's a lot of room for symptoms to fluctuate. I have good phases and I have bad phases. And amongst each of those, I have good days and I have bad days. At the moment, I'm going through a pretty good phase, which is why I can travel and I can do these videos. But I'm far from operating at 100%. Right now, I'm exhausted. But of course you can't tell because I have this invisible disability. You can't tell that there's fluttering at the edge of my eyes, that I feel slightly unstable, that my body is burning, like my legs are in physical pain right now from standing to film this video. That's the thing with invisible disabilities. You just don't know. This is such a broad topic. I could do a whole series just on invisible disabilities. Today, my aim is to give an overview and create a little bit more understanding of what it's like for those of us who suffer on a daily basis without being seen. I'd really love to hear other people's thoughts and experiences. Whether you also have an invisible disability, or you know someone who does. Whether this is the first time you're hearing of the term, or maybe you have a visible disability and can tell me what that's like for you. When we think disabled, we usually imagine someone in a wheelchair. But that's such a narrow definition. Though, truth be told, I did get so ill that I also needed a wheelchair at one point. 2.5 years ago, I got glandular fever, which left me bedbound for about 1.5 years. This was the second time I was bedbound. The first was for 6 months when I was about 20. I also suffered an extreme fatigue phase as a teenager, where I was sleeping 16 to 18 hours a night at times, and still kept falling asleep during the day. My parents would walk in on me revising for exams, and I'd have just fallen asleep face first onto my books. So when I got diagnosed with glandular fever and was told it could take months to recover, I decided it was finally time to make a change in my life and start prioritizing my health. I'd spent years trying to ignore the fact that I was disabled and couldn't do everything an able-bodied person could. I was constantly pushing myself. A close friend once described me as only having 2 modes. Number 1, doing 1,000,001 things and burning the candle at all ends, and number 2, completely crashed out and unable to do anything. So I gave up my job, which was heartbreaking, and started doing everything I could to look after my health. I changed my diet, I gave up alcohol, I gave up gluten and dairy and all sorts of other things. I started taking supplements, and I went to see just about every healthcare practitioner out there, from alternative medicine and Western medicine. I even did 2 6-week stints in an Ayurvedic center in India. That's 3 months in total. When I was there, I switched off from the world, breathed clean, fresh mountain air, ate healthy food, did gentle exercise, including yoga, and underwent a whole bunch of treatments. From different types of enemas, to being covered in red mustard oil and wrapped like a burrito and left out in the sun, to induced diarrhea and being covered in bright green face masks because my skin had erupted in awful acne. But I didn't get better. It seemed like no matter what I did, whether it was doing nothing and resting or actively trying to look after my health, I was steadily getting worse. When I got back from India the second time round, I was so exhausted I couldn't walk more than 10 minutes without needing a break. And that was on a good day. I couldn't leave the house for long periods of time without the support of a wheelchair. Even the most basic daily tasks were exhausting. And the hardest part was, no one really understood. When I told people I was off work for health reasons, the most common response I got was, "Ooh, Ooh, how are you filling all your free time now then? Nobody got that being that ill is a full-time job. You don't have the time or the energy for anything else. So I tell people I was reading lots, watching TV, going for walks. And it wasn't a lie, but what I really meant by reading lots was going over the same sentence 20 times before my brain could compute what it was saying. And by then I'd be so exhausted I'd put the book down and fall asleep. By watching TV, what I meant was putting on some trashy TV which required zero brain power and just dozing uncomfortably in front of it. By going for nice walks, what I meant was it would take me 30 minutes to walk the 10-minute walk to the local park because I kept having to take breaks. I'd get there, would sit down exhausted for an hour and then have to take the bus home the 2 stops. I'm not exaggerating this stuff, and I'm sharing this because as invisibly disabled people, when we're at our worst, people don't get to see that, which of course adds to the invisibility of the illnesses. The people in our inner circle, our closest friends, our housemates, our lovers, our family members, they get to see us when we're pretty fucking bad, but even they don't get to see us when we're really at our worst. The times I was locked in my room and I wanted to cry, but I genuinely didn't have the energy for tears. The times I was so angry I wanted to punch something, but I couldn't raise my arm. I felt so broken and useless, but most of all I felt invisible and I felt alone. A friend I met recently who also suffers from an invisible disability was telling me about the time she fell down and spent an entire day lying on the floor pissing herself because she couldn't move. That's how bad it can be. And that's why I'm creating this video, because if you know someone who's going through something similar, I need you to understand that they are not making it up. They are not exaggerating. Just because you can't see it doesn't make it any less real. Thankfully, after years of seeing doctors who totally dismissed me, telling me things like, it's nothing, it's all in your head. You're too young for it to be anything serious. Just take some ibuprofen and have a lie down, you'll be fine. Your blood test came back normal, are you sure you're not making it up? Some people are just unlucky, you'll get used to the pain. Seriously, these are all genuine responses I have had from doctors over the years. But then I found my current GP who totally changed my life around. I saw a number of specialists and got a bunch of new diagnoses. By this point, I'd already been diagnosed with CFS, chronic fatigue, with endometriosis, the lining of your womb, with polycystic ovaries, with IBS, your digestion. But then I got to add to my collection and I now have a heart condition called POTS, a joint condition called EDS, where I'm in constant pain, a condition called mast cell activation syndrome where the cells in my body don't work properly, causing inflammation and making me intolerant and allergic to just about everything. Fun. Central hypersensitivity, where my body sends my brain the wrong signals and means I get way more side effects from medications and way more symptoms from being ill and just causes extra chaos in the midst of everything else. I know. Oh, a breathing disorder. Yes, because I did not have enough going on, so not being able to breathe properly on top of everything else was necessary. And oh yes, I've also been suffering from depression and anxiety since the age of 10. Fun cocktail, right? Oh, and they're just the chronic illnesses I have, the ones that aren't curable. I'm gonna have those my entire life. I've tried a bunch of different meds and a bunch of different treatments. Some have really helped and others have made things a lot worse. It's not been an easy journey. There's been lots of ups and downs and relapses. At the moment, I've gotten to the point where I have found the right combo of meds, diet, supplements to support my body in slowly but steadily improving. I'm learning to adapt my lifestyle and to pace myself. And like I said, I have a whole team of healthcare specialists. Plus, I have 10 years of experience of dealing with all these symptoms. So, as well-intentioned as I know it always is, unless you have direct experience of living with something similar, please refrain from giving unsolicited advice. We don't need the people in our life to fix us. We just need to be heard and seen and supported. If you don't know how to do that, then ask. Say to the person in your life living with an invisible disability, I'm really sorry you're going through a tough time. How best can I support you? And if you really think you know someone or something that can really help the person, ask them. Are you in a space to receive recommendations right now? But whatever you do, do not recommend that they do yoga. Yoga is not a miracle cure, people. I will be doing a video on spirituality soon where I talk more about my relationship with yoga, meditation, and a whole bunch of other things. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and share. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter.